Rosie, I'm cooking one of my favourite things in the entire world. Ribs in the oven, pork ribs, they will be delicious. But to sweeten them up, to give them some flavour, to give them some love and make them delicious, even more delicious, I'm going to make a blueberry glaze, which is going to be fantastic. Now, to start with...
Slipping a bit of nutrition in there?
A little bit of nutrition somewhere. Now, the nutrition, you can talk about the nutrition of garlic and shallots as you chop them.
Oh, the base of all great things.
There we go. Now, while you're doing that, chop them nice and fine.
Yep.
I'm going to take my ribs here, and these are pork ribs that they've got the skin on still, but these are young, sweet pigs, so that skin will just fall apart. All you need to do is cook it nice and low and slow. So what I've got is my big, heavy baking dish here, and what I do, Rosie, pop the ribs straight into the baking tray. A little trick is to pop a little bit of baking paper on the bottom. It just makes sure that nothing sticks in it. Makes the tray a lot easier to clean. So I'm going to pop them in here like this. Now, if you want to, you can take the skin off, but you don't need to. If you cook them low and slow, the way I tell you how to do them, they will be so moist and delicious.
Always listen to Uncle Richo.
There we go, Uncle Richo, I like that one. Now, you can see there's a little bit of fat on there. They will render down a little bit. And what I'll do to render it down is I'll put some salt on there, because as we know, Rosie, salt loves meat, meat loves salt. That's what brings out the flavour, and you need to make sure you got plenty of that on there.
I have heard.
How are you going with the garlic and the shallots?
Having a lovely time. Thank you very much.
Now, I'm also going to put some pepper on the top there. I love pepper on the top here. It gives it a really nice flavour. Now, I'm going to add some extra virgin olive oil. Now, what I'm going to do is pop this into the oven. I have the oven on at 160 degrees Celsius. And what I do is I pop them into the oven for about 45 to 55 minutes until they start to soften up a bit. They'll render down a little bit. And then what we'll do is we'll bring it out and put the glaze on it. So I'll pop this straight into the oven so we can get them cooking. Okay, Rosie, while they're... Oh, look at that. You've done a great job. Now, what I'm going to do is bring the pot over here, and you're going to slide that onion and garlic straight into the pot. At the same time, I'm going to put some extra virgin olive oil into the pot. See how I'm doing it away from the stove?
Yes.
There we go. See, I'm bringing it to you because
like
it makes it a lot easier.
It's these little tricks that make things not only safer, but it's a little bit easier and a little bit more impressive, isn't it?
Now,
having oil splatting at you.
Exactly. And what I've done is I've had it on the heat, so it's got a bit of heat in it already, and you can see it's starting to simmer away straight away. Put a little bit of salt in there and some pepper. It is, of course, a savoury dish. And all I do is just sweat that off just for a minute or so till the garlic and the shallots soften up nicely. And we can just look at the blueberries over there while this is sweating off nicely.
Right.
Rosie, you can see they've caramelised beautifully. Now, if you can cut some of the butter for me, just a nice little piece of that. And while you're doing that, I'm going to grab these blueberries and pop them in. Now, the blueberries, when you look at them, have got to have that sort of dusty look on the outside. That tells you they're in good condition. That's the protective layer on the outside.
Know, isn't it? Yeah, we want those ones. They want those perfect-looking ones, but nope, we want ones like this.
I've had people come to me and say, the blueberries are dusty. Can you wash them off? No, don't do that. Put the butter in there, Rosie. There we go, straight in there. And that butter's going to melt down beautifully. Now, what I do is I put the blueberries in here. About 2 punnets is enough. And I'm also going to add some balsamic. I'm going to need a bit of sharpness, and balsamic works really well. It's got that dark colour, that nice sweetness.
Helps caramelise as well, though, doesn't it?
Beautiful. And also some date molasses. If you've got some golden syrup, that works just as well. Or you can put some brown sugar in there. Have a little taste of that date molasses.
Oh, I will. I love that you've used the fruit element in a savoury dish. It's like happening more and more often, and it's such a delicious thing to do.
Oh, you can taste that. It's got that beautiful flavour to it, that sweetness.
Oh, that really is lovely.
You might not have tasted pork before, but believe me, that date molasses and pork go really well together. I've got some chilli flakes that go in there, about a teaspoon of that, and also some smoked paprika. You can put some cayenne pepper if you like a bit more heat. And for some more sweetness, I'm going to put some honey in there. Nice big dollop of honey, about 1/4 cup, 1/2 cup, 1/3 cup, maybe even a whole cup if you want it nice and sweet. Pop that in there as well. Now, Rosie, all I need to do is bring this up to the boil and let it simmer away. All the little blueberries will pop open and it will start to reduce down and become a thick glaze. In about 45 minutes or so, my pork will be ready. I'll take it out, glaze it all up and pop it back into the oven for another 15, 20, 25 minutes until it's glazed up beautifully and the pork is nice and tender. My mouth is watering. I can't wait to get into this one. Oh, Rosie, look at that.
I know.
This is probably the first time for you, Rosie, taking some pork ribs out of the oven for me. There we go.
I'll do anything for you, Richard. You know that.
Thank you, thank you. Now you can see the glaze has thickened up. You could, of course, put a bar mix in here and give it a blend up if you want to, but I like it nice
Bit of texture.
Yeah, I like it nice and chunky like that. And the blueberries sort of pop open. And it's almost jammy in consistency.
Well, if there's one thing I do know about pork ribs is they've got to be sticky, right? That's what you want. You want to end up with a face covered in purple.
Not just your face, your arms, your legs, your fingers, the whole lot of it.
Eat it in the bath.
You can get it in your hair as well if you want. There we go. I spoon that straight on there like that. Rosie, you can see the pork has become nice and tender. It's probably 10, 15 minutes away from being cooked. So what I want to do is pop it on here and let it have a little bit of a glaze. If you want to put the glaze on at the start, you can just pop it on and then put some baking paper and foil on it and then cook it for the full time till it's nice and tender. And then for the last couple of minutes, take the foil and the baking paper off and let it caramelise.
Nice tip.
These are going back in the oven for 20 minutes. In they go. Look at that. Let me slide that out for you. Nice. That's a handy tool, isn't it?
Isn't it?
In we go. Have a look at these, Rosie. Oh,
They look really good. They look sticky, rich.
they're sticking together, but you can see they're falling apart. That's what you want. Really important with this cut of meat that it falls apart and it's nice and sticky and gelatinous. I'll get this little piece over here. Look at that. Looks fantastic. And I'll just show you what I mean. As soon as I touch it with a fork, you can see it just falls apart, and that's exactly what you want.
Oh, you're waiting to tuck in, aren't you?
Oh, I am. Now, I've got some of the sauce there for you to try, Rosie.
I would love to try.
To see the acidity, a bit of chilli in there, the blueberry flavour. And while you're doing that, I'm just going to tuck straight into this piece.
Well, I'm very intrigued to have that paprika and that chilli with the blueberries. I've personally never had that combination. Oh, very good. That can be used in a lot of different ways as well.
You can use it as a condiment on the side, but I can tell you what, with the pork and the fattiness of it, it's really, really well. And that spice in there works beautifully. A little squeeze of lemon on top there as well if you really want to get into it.
Aren't you?
I'm very, very happy. I think
We'll leave him.
I'm loving this one. I think we need something else sweet after this, won't we?
I think we do.